right, lead heads, welcome back to Talking Lead, episode 121. Gonna have a super great week this week. I've got a lot planned out. I'll go over that in just a second, but I want to thank Mark for joining us last week with Tennessee Bounty Hunters Fugitive Recovery Services. Very interesting show and topic, and I'm looking forward to going on some more missions with them and seeing what they do in a little more detail. But that was a real good show, and appreciate all the feedback from you lead heads. You guys seem to enjoy that, and I think you're really going to enjoy today's show as well. This week, I've got the IV-88 Range Day coming up down in Georgia. That's going to be a hoot. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest, Mr. Wes Doss with Khyber Interactive Associates. And Wes, we're going to get into more about you and Khyber Interactive Associates here a little bit in the show. But like I said, I want to go ahead and introduce you. That way, if you've got some things that you want to comment on during this opening, we want you to do that, and we want people to know who you are while you're talking.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've got the IV-88 Range Day coming up, and by the time you guys hear this, I will have already been back. Just know that next week's show is probably going to be all about the Range Day and all the crazy, weird, wild stuff that we're going to do there. And you've probably seen some of my social media posts. I just got in my first AK-47 from Kalashnikov USA. So thank Andrew and the guys over there at Kalashnikov for my first AK. Really looking forward to putting that thing through some torture tests that we kind of alluded to in some previous shows with the guys at VSO Gun Channel. So that's going to be a good time once we get that out and get that set up. I've also finished my AR pistol build, and I've posted some pictures of that online too. And I want to give a big thanks to Tom, Leadhead Tom, for letting me use his shop and his tools for getting that thing tuned up. And I'm actually going to go out there today and put some rounds through it just to test it out, make sure it don't blow up. That way I'm not too embarrassed at range day when I take it out to the to Georgia. And the guys over at On Target, there was just a few little parts that I had misplaced. I know I ordered them, but I misplaced my trigger pin and my hammer pin. And those guys were kind enough to donate those to the project. So the guys over at On Target in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, big thanks to you guys. Got some more stuff in from the guys over at USC SOG. Are you familiar with that outfit, Wes?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So do you know Senior Team Leader Garcia?
We've met at, I want to say either IACP or SHOT Show, one of our trade groups.
Yeah, just super, super great guy. Really energetic, and man, he's high speed all the time. But they had sent me a little care package. I got a Coast flashlight that they sent me. What is the model of this thing? I don't know. It's a dual power, always ready. It's got like 3 different power packs that come with it. 200 and something lumens. I don't know. It's a really cool flashlight. It's got the bright, the dim, and then of course the what do you call that when it does the blinking?
A strobe.
Strobe. There you go. You're going to find out, Wes, that I'm always reaching for words.
Not a problem.
It's up to my guests to help me with that and push me along. But they sent me that. They also sent me a Coast knife, a Spec Ops. It's called the Spec Ops. It's a 2-position clip, flip-out knife. Really cool thing. So I'll be posting some pictures of that, too, here coming up. And then, of course, the thing that I really wanted was the USC SOG team T-shirt. So I'm an official member of the USC SOG now. Not really, but Senior Team Leader Garcia, thank you so much for sending that stuff. I really appreciate it. And guys, make sure you go out and check out their Facebook page. They're trying to get up to 10,000 likes on their page. And at certain milestones on their way there, they're giving away some really cool prizes. So make sure you go and you like their page. And let's show them our Leadhead support and get them on up there. So, Wes, what did you do that was related with firearms or something fun you did this week?
Well, this week's been playing catch up. We've been on 3+ weeks straight. So I've done my best this week to stay away from everything, just to get caught up on paperwork.
So you were telling me you're in Arizona, right?
Yeah, we sit geographically right on the Colorado River between Arizona, California, and Nevada.
Okay. And that's where your company's located, Khyber.
Correct. Khyber's based here in Arizona.
Okay. Very cool. Did you do anything with guns or gear as you're getting caught up or getting prepared for your tour, which we're going to talk about?
Yeah, the only thing I did this week as far as gear and guns is just clean them and put them back in the cases and give them to the FedEx driver to get them out the door to the next tour stop.
Okay. All right. I know you guys are traveling all over the United States with this. It's the Light, Sight, and Lasers tour, right?
That's it. Light, Sights, Lasers U.S. tour. This is our 3rd year.
Okay. Tell us a bit about what that is.
Well, the whole thing started, it's kind of a strange story. Started back in 2012 at SHOT Show. It was a conversation between us and one of the companies that we work with called Excess Sights, based out of Fort Worth, Texas. And we came up with this idea for this program. And it was originally going to just simply be a class. And then it kind of evolved into this cost-free law enforcement military training tour that was marketed, out there to the masses, kind of like a concert tour.
We'll go ahead and get into this. Tell everybody about who Wes Doss is and who Khyber Interactive Associates are.
Well, Wes Doss is just a guy.
He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
Just a
but
figurehead,
yeah, got a dual career, retired Army, retired law enforcement. Some of that was concurrent because it was obviously I left active, went into the reserves. I was a cop while I was in the Army Reserve. Spent the last 4 years of reserve on active duty for obvious reasons. Have owned and operated my own company since '92. I've had stints where I've worked for some of our major manufacturers. I got recruited from the sheriff's office here in Arizona by Sig Sauer, and I was the law enforcement military trainer at the academy for a while. And I've just been involved in this industry literally for about 20+ years. And what we do is we have a training and consulting firm that does our best to make people perform better under really bad situations.
And when you say people, are you strictly law enforcement military, or do you do civilian training as well?
We do some civilian training more and more as time goes on, but for years our focus was on the government training side. And we're moving, because we do a lot of commercial work with our manufacturers. We've been moving into the civilian market progressively over the last couple of years. Okay.
We have a lot of the majority of, I'd say, our listeners are law enforcement military. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they'd be interested in your services that you guys have. So what kind of services do you offer to?
Well, we do everything. Our big forte is instructor development. The idea is to take existing instructors and make better instructors out of them. That's training, increase the efficiency. But as far as training, we do everything in the high liability realm. We do driving, we do emergency medicine, we do tactics, we do firearms. We pretty much do it all.
And talk a little bit about, as far as these classes, give us an example of maybe one of your driving classes.
Well, it all depends, because we work remotely, and it's really based on whatever the facilities are that an agency has at their disposal.
So they'll call you, and they've got something specific that they want to get either honed or trained on.
Correct. We've got our own catalog classes, and then we have the capability of creating programs that meet whatever their needs are for what they're needing the training in. Our Pursuit or EVOC instructor program is a pretty detailed program that takes you from square one all the way into high speed pursuit driving. But again, it really all depends on the resources that are available. We've worked with a track facility out of Phoenix in the past. I have taught this several times to down in the islands to the USVI police. We've set up their EVOC instructor program down there. So it just really all depends on the resources that are available.
Okay, I got you. That makes complete sense. So you've been doing a lot of training in the Virgin Islands, huh? Well,
we have. We've been on contract there. They're under a consent decree. They're they've got a mess down there. And, tourists don't realize it. And every time I get up in front of a group and I say, hey, this is one of the places that we teach, like, wow, it must be really great teaching in the Virgin Islands. Because I don't know, I think going to Iraq and Afghanistan kind of prepped me to spend time in the Virgin Islands because it's not nearly as glamorous as you think it would be. They've got a major problem. They've got corruption issues, and they've got training problems. They've got a crime rate that is just astronomical, and they're trying to get a handle on it. And I think they're down to like another year on that consent decree, and if they don't meet standards, I would expect to see Uncle Sam sending contractors down there to play police officer.
Okay, well, that's something that we don't hear much about, or what's going on down in the Virgin Islands. So I wasn't aware that they had that much crime and corruption down there.
Yeah, well, both the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico are under consent decrees. They're, it's a voluntary consent decree, but
right.
they realize they've got some issues, and I just think the news just doesn't get out of there.
No, it really doesn't, because we don't hear a lot about it. That's interesting. Now, do they have a lot of kidnappings and stuff, ransoms that go on down there with
the
tourists?
Biggest problem? No, usually thefts. I mean, you've got in St. Thomas where you've got the cruise ports. There's 2 cruise ports at St. Thomas, and those are open targets for thugs and for petty criminals. But one of their biggest issues is because they are into the Caribbean is still drug running.
Yeah, I'm sure. I would imagine that's probably their biggest issue they've got to deal with. I was just curious. Being down there in the islands, and you hear about all these ISIS and people like that kidnapping U.S. citizens and other citizens and hold them for ransom to fund their terrorism. I didn't know if, that's something that the government's keeping under wraps from us that we don't hear a lot about.
No, I haven't heard or experienced any of that down there.
Well, that's good.
We've had more kidnappings cartel related in Arizona than I think they've had in the islands.
In Arizona. Arizona's got their own set of problems, don't they?
Yeah, we do.
The heat being one of them. You said it's still 115 degrees there, huh?
Oh, yeah, we had a reprieve for a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, I wasn't here during the reprieve. I was on the road. But everybody was telling me it was the nicest weather we've had all year. And by the time I get back, it starts going into triple digits again.
Oh, my gosh. We're experiencing like 65 degrees here in rain. I'm in Tennessee.
Well, I'll be in Tallahassee, Florida in a couple of days, so I'll get some rain.
All right, so we'll get into a little bit more with Wes. Of course, we're going to get into the questions that we ask all our new guests. But first, we want to do our Jack Wagon of the Week. So introduce it to us, Gunny.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead Jack Wagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, Wes. You were supposed to prepare a jack wagon for us this week. Did you do your duty?
No, I dropped the ball on it.
You dropped the ball. Well, that's okay because I happen to have one.
All right.
So I went to the Tennessee Titans home opener this weekend against the Colts. And no, I'm not throwing the Colts on the jack wagon train or the Titans, even though the Titans should be after that horrible performance. But all right, so this is a group of people, and it's just kind of a blanket. People that are disrespectful during the National Anthem. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. And I guess when you're in a big social event like that, and of course all the tailgating and stuff that goes on, you're going to have the rowdies. But for God's sakes, this is something you've been doing all your life. You've known about all your life is the National Anthem. You're supposed to take your hat off. You're supposed to put your hand over your heart or salute, or for God's sake, just be quiet. Sit there and be quiet during the National Anthem. Oh,
no, that's one of my hugest pet peeves. Long-term military, used to go to the Post Theater to go see a movie, and the first thing that started was the National Anthem before the movies would play.
Oh my God. And you don't see that anywhere anymore.
No, my kids, when we got out of active duty, our oldest, I remember taking her to see some Disney movie, and when it hit the previews, she stood up in her seat and was ready to stand at attention because it's what she was used to doing, and she thought it was the strangest thing that the National Anthem hadn't played. It's kind of a decline. They dropped civics out of school. Kids don't understand any of that. They They're kind of encouraged to kind of be a little rebellious, disrespectful, and I think that's I think that's a huge black eye.
It absolutely is, and we're seeing, as they do more and more of this, we're seeing the backlash of it, like you said, with all the disrespect and whatnot that we're experiencing in our country right now. But yeah, so people that are disrespectful during the national anthem, welcome to the jackwagon train, baby. All right, so guys, let's get into our new guest questions. And Wes is completely unprepared for this, so I'm catching him off guard with it. So we should get some good answers. Pretty standard on the first one is, how did you originally get involved with firearms? What's your first earliest recollection of that, remembrance?
Wow, I just a fascination with them as a kid, and I grew up in California. So, but before you beat me up for that, it used to be a different state, and it was the wild, wild west at one point. And I think that was the natural transition into the military and then into law enforcement. It's just been part of my life, and it's just something I don't have any desire to shake, but I don't think I could shake it.
Yeah. Well, what, if you don't mind us asking, about what era did you grow up in California?
What era or area?
The time frame.
Oh, time frame. I was
era.
I was born in 1964, and I didn't leave there till 1982. So
okay, well, you're the same age as my oldest brother.
Yep.
So tell us about pre-California.
California was a great place. Hunting, fishing, outdoor activities. We lived in a neighborhood. There were 2 deputy sheriffs and 3 highway patrolmen that lived there. They used to drive these big Dodges. You could hear the cars coming a mile away, big Mopar motors. It was just different, just a different era. And, slowly it just kind of changed, and they haven't looked back. And that's why I'm glad I'm on this side of the river now.
Yeah, that's true. So you alluded to the fact that you've got the military background, law enforcement background. Are there any cool stories that you got that you can tell us during your military days? Wow,
ones that won't embarrass myself for somebody else.
Oh no, we won't embarrass you. The embarrassing stories, man.
Now, the best one, and I use it a lot in classes, was the last 4 years of active duty. I finished out my bachelor's degree, and I went into the Army CID program, which is the kind of the Army's version of the FBI. And a lot of guys that are prior service will look at that and they'll get quiet because most people that deal with a CID agent, it's usually because they're in trouble for something. And I never worked a case. I came back from training. I was back in my region. I just got my creds issued to me, and literally came down on orders. There were 10 of us that were reassigned to the Protective Services Battalion out of Fort Belvoir prior to the first Gulf War. And I went back and went through the original Protective Service program that Diplomatic Security had established. And that's what I did for 4 years. I was a PSD agent. And in theater, we had a multi-agency detail that we did where Margaret Thatcher was in country. And it was to escort Margaret Thatcher and Colin Powell. And
wow, what a crew.
Absolutely. And during one of the periods when they had a little Kodak moment when the two of them were supposed to shake hands on the airfield, they fired up the turbines on these Chinook helicopters, and the Prime Minister's skirt blew over the top of her head. And you could hear people telling you through your earpiece, "Don't look, look away." And finished the route. We came back, and they marshaled us all into a hangar on the airfield, and the Prime Minister comes in to, pretty typical, shake hands and give everybody kind of a little swag. Back then it was like Zippo lighters. This is, pre-coins. And she just wants to thank everybody. And then she gets real silent and she says, "I need to ask the Americans a real serious question. And I need to know who here saw my bloomers." And nobody knew what to say. And this woman, who was basically the equivalent of Ronald Reagan, said, "That's okay. You're welcome. I'm giving you all a story you can tell your grandchildren about. It's not very often that anybody gets to see the Prime Minister in her underwear." And I thought, I still laugh about that because...
As if it was anything you ever wanted to see, though.
Yeah, but can you imagine our something like that happening with our administration today, and them taking it so lightheartedly.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it would be all over social media. It would be instant.
Oh, we'd all been fired.
Well, that's probably why everybody's like, is she going to kill us? Is that one of those things? You see it, now you got to die. Oh, man, that's one of those things that is like you never want to see. He's like, oh, my God, I wish I'd never seen that. I'll never be able to not see that again.
Yeah, what's been seen can't be unseen.
That's right. That's cool. Well, good story, man. I like that. I got another question. This is kind of off the cuff, but you being, with all your experience in the military and law enforcement and the training that you do, what's your favorite piece of kit, that you always want to have on your person that, you feel is probably the most important piece of kit you can have?
Well, I go a lot of different places where carrying's easy, carrying's not so easy. I don't go anywhere without a knife, and it's probably my pocket knife. That's just the go-to tool that I have with me always.
There you go. And what kind of knife do you carry?
I've got a Magnum Pro Hunter from Blade Tech.
Okay, yeah, those are nice knives, definitely.
Nice, comfortable knife, good blade design. Good to use for everything else. You cut more boxes and envelopes open with it than anything else, but it's a good knife.
It's useful. It's a multi-tool, right?
Pretty much.
You can clean your fingernails with it. You can open boxes.
I don't loan it to anybody to pry anything open, but it's a good knife, and I don't go anywhere without it.
Cool. Now, do you know anything about this Coast Spec Ops knife? You heard?
I don't.
Okay.
Coast is it's an older company that's been around, and they produce a lot of different products, and I know they've been kind of having a comeback with some of the lights and whatnot here in the last year or two.
Yeah. When it comes to pop culture, what is your go-to, whether it be a movie, a TV show, a song, a magazine, a book that's gun-related, somewhat gun-related? Doesn't have to be.
I'm rereading it now for probably the 7th or 8th time, and I'm dating myself, but I'm a big Joseph.
You've already told us when you were born. So.
Yeah, I'm a big Joseph Wambaugh fan, and I'm rereading The Choir Boys. That's always my go-to book, and it's gun related, it's cop related, it's funny, and it's just always been the go-to novel. Okay,
so what's that about? I'm not familiar with that one.
It's kind of the trials and tribulations of a squad of LAPD officers. It's got some. It's kind of like when you read The Choir Boys. It's kind of like watching Reno 911. If you sit there and look at it and you don't get it, then quite likely you're one of the characters on the screen. And when you read The Choir Boys, every one of the characters in there are somebody you work with, and it's just so easy to relate to. It's just
very relatable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, have they made a movie out of that?
Oh yeah, that's an old movie. I don't remember who was in the movie. The movie that preceded that and the book that preceded it was The New Centurions, and that was George C. Scott. And I'll pull that out and reread it every so often too.
Very cool. I'll have to write that down. I'll check that book out. The Choir Boys.
Choir Boys by Joseph Wambaugh.
Very cool. What's your go-to movie?
Well, because it's my era. Probably, I overwatch it. First would be any one of the Dirty Harry series, and then second would be Black Hawk Down.
Black Hawk Down, yeah, that's a great movie. Are you into do you watch TV much? Any TV series that you're into?
No, we're like everybody else. One of the providers keeps flip-flopping on things, so we keep moving stuff around, so I don't get too attached to any of the TV shows.
Yeah.
My wife and I used to sit here and we used to really enjoy the Travel Channel until they pulled it off our programming. But outside of that, I don't really watch a lot of TV.
Is there or has there ever been a firearm or maybe a piece of kit that you're ashamed to admit to have owned or own?
No, I've been pretty good about avoiding any potential POSs, and I've stayed as far away from things that I just wasn't attracted to or didn't have any interest in.
Right. All right. Well, I mean, everybody's got to, kind of live and learn. Did you ever have one of those, just like, I shouldn't have got this. Wish
I don't remember
this.
Yeah, I don't remember what the model number was, because they floated in and out of making things their entire existence. But when I was a kid, Big Five Sporting Goods put a Smith & Wesson pump shotgun on sale, and I bought it just before dove season, and got one Winchester AA out of it, and the firing pin snapped in half, and got it replaced. Went back out the next weekend, and the exact same thing happened again.
Snapped again, huh?
Snapped again. So as far as I was concerned, that was the last Smith shotgun I was ever going to buy.
Yeah. Well, they're not known for their shotguns.
No. I mean, I was a high school kid, and it was probably $1.50 for the gun, so that's what attracted me to it.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
You could walk into a damn gas station and buy a shotgun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what is on your bucket list? What is your next gotta have, wanna have? And it, this is talking lead. So, laws be damned, rules be damned. If you could have it, what would you have right now?
If I could have it.
Yeah.
I say this a lot in class because, you got a lot of guys in classes that are very wedded to brands and products and, manufacturers. And, I don't know, you get to a stage where, a gun is a gun, a caliber is a caliber, a piece of kit's a piece of kit. It's really what you do with it. The one thing on my bucket list is, I'm working on completing a collection of Colt Python pistols, and I'd like to keep adding to that. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So how many do you have? Can we
4.
ask? You got 4. Okay.
4.
Nice. Hey, so I just got oh crap, dude. I just got a news bulletin from MSN News. It says 15 dead, 20 wounded in shooting at Oregon College. Holy crap. At least 15 people were killed and another 20 wounded at a shooting. And today is Thursday, October the 1st. Rosenberg, Oregon media, Thursday at a community college in Rosenberg, Oregon media reported. The Portland, Oregon newspaper and CNN reported that a suspect had been taken into custody, citing Douglas County officials. That suspect was not identified. CNN reported that one of the wounded was a female who had been shot in the chest. There was no immediate information on the condition of the other wounded victims. A spokeswoman for the Douglas County Sheriff's Department confirmed to Reuters that there was a shooting at the Umpqua Community College. Okay. Yeah. Umpqua Community College campus in Roseburg. The spokeswoman had no further details. Active shooter scene is code for multiple casualties. All PTs transported, the Douglas County Fire Department said in a tweet. Holy crap, man.
Wow.
What is wrong with people? I'm speechless, man. 15 dead, 20 wounded. And this is just MSN News trying to be first to the report, so it's probably going to go up from there.
Up or down.
Yeah. It could be adjusted from there. So, this is just hot off the press right here, guys. Sorry to interrupt our interview with Wes, but of course, everybody's not going to hear this until Sunday anyway, so there's going to be more details that come out about it, and we'll update on the next show. But breaking news, you heard it first here if you were listening live on Talking Lead. Man, that's ridiculous. You don't know how much that burns me up, man. Another, and you're going to see this too. Obama's going to be jumping his people out on this. They're going to take every bit of advantage of this as they can.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be the fist shaking in the air and all the threats and everything else.
Yeah, and blaming the guns.
Blaming the guns.
Good Lord. All right, let's see. I think that was all the questions. The bucket list. Oh, all right. So let's finish up with our questions with Wes, and this is a new one that I've added to the list, Wes. If you could spend the day at the range with anyone or any group, be it fictional, still alive, dead, who would it be?
If I could spend the day at the range, I'd like to go to the range with Bill Jordan, who's no longer with us, legendary U.S. Border Patrol agent. Okay. And my next one would be my wife, who loves to go to the range.
Well, look at there. You just got some brownie points, man.
There you go. There you go. Got to get it where you can get it.
That's right. That's right. So tell me a little bit about Bill Jordan. I'm not familiar with Bill Jordan.
Oh, no second place winner. Bill Jordan, just one of the legends that did the early days of the U.S. Border Patrol. Just a gunfighter. Okay. You know, I that's one thing, you know, that's kind of interesting. I never met Mr. Jordan, but people always ask about, you know, being in this industry and whether you're doing the manufacturer's work or you're training or doing whatever it is you do, and the more notoriety and more well-known you become, you know, what's the biggest thrill? And my biggest thrill has been the people I've met. You know, I had a good opportunity. I got real close to Jim Cirillo. Jim Cirillo was, you know, a good family friend. Mm-hmm. You know, I've met a lot of really notable folks. And I'm friends with a lot of notable folks, and that's the biggest thrill for me. And just some of these classic historical figures.
Well, cool. Does he have any kind of notoriety or, you know, famous story that's associated with him?
No, you know, just tons of different things, but it's just kind of the era. You know, if you go back, you know, when I was a kid, I think he was still around. A lot of writings. You know, the only gun magazine that was out was Guns and Ammo, the early one, and there was always something in there between Elmer Keith, Bill Jordan, you know, that crowd, and I just think that would be just a blast. You know,
that name sounds very familiar. That's when you said that. I was trying to make the connection. So he's written some old articles and stuff, huh?
Yeah, they got a book called No Second Place Winner.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. And that's by Bill Jordan?
Bill Jordan.
Okay. I bet he was the type that wore the cowboy hat.
Yeah, well, wasn't not the cowboy hat, but that, God, I can't remember what they call it. Our agency had him too, that kind of, that trooper hat, you know, where it's not a campaign hat, but
more of a Stetson kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was back in the day. They were running wheel guns and everything else. So it was a whole different
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was really good info on those questions, man. A lot of new answers on those. So that was very good. So let's get back to Khyber Interactive Associates. Tell us a little bit more about Khyber and you know, where you guys are going to be.
Well, you know, we're 2015's winding down, but we're still finishing up this biggest project. We've got the Light Sights Lasers tour. We're going to be working in Tallahassee, actually Havana, Florida, this next weekend, and from there we're off to Alexandria, Louisiana. But we're booking our schedule for next year. We've got a diminished light instructor class that's pretty popular, and we've got a couple of carbine programs that we push that are pretty popular. Okay. And hopefully we'll be all over the country with those. We're always looking for hosts, so that's the key thing. Is people always call up. I get emails. You know, why don't you come here? Why don't you think about teaching here? It's like, well, why don't you find me a host? If you know somebody who wants to host, that's the easiest way to bring a class. You know, you get a range or an organization or an agency, and get them to come on board as a local host, and we're thumbs up. We're ready to go.
Talk a little bit about what the Light, Sight, and Lasers class entails.
Well, you know, it started out pretty much focused around lights, sights, and lasers. It was the three high liability topics because, frankly, they're really misunderstood, and their applications are. And what it's turned into is because we train all over the country, it's turned into this tactical weapons training program that morphs every year based off of what we learn from all these agencies on the road every year. So we're finding out that there's departments that do one thing, there's departments that do something else. There's a different training paradigm here. There's a lack of training over there. And what it's become is we become a conduit to share that information and provide that insight from location to location. So it's turned into a real redeeming event for us.
Cool. So you mentioned carbine classes. Is that something that you do with civilians also, or is that strictly military and law enforcement?
No, we've got that class open. It really depends on the host and where it's at, but that's a class from a curriculum standpoint that's open to law enforcement, military, and civilians.
Okay, what's the outline for that course?
Well, essentially, I mean, we've got a couple of different programs, but the one that has become the most popular is the one we call close quarters carbine, and that's really, compromising the space and kind of forcing the individual to run that rifle a lot more like they run their handgun and think about it in those terms. And it's a challenging class. It's all close quarters. It's all very, very close proximity, but it's fast. It's very fast, very furious.
When's the next one of those that you have scheduled? Not till next year, you said?
Yeah, I'm thinking we've got 2 or 3 hosts that are still on the fence in terms of what dates they're trying to set them up. I want to say that we're looking at one in somewhere in the Midwest, and I think we're looking at one somewhere up in the New England area.
Do you do mixed classes with law enforcement and civilians? Do you ever do those?
I do regionally. Again, sometimes that's a difficult bridge to build because there's some agencies just don't. Just you can't have civilians on their ranges for their liability, their insurance carrier.
Right. That's understandable. So how do people get in touch with Khyber Interactive Associates if they want to schedule you or host you?
Well, the 2 ways, you can find us on Facebook under Khyber Training, or go to our website, which is www.khybertraining.com. And Khyber is Khyber, just like the mountain pass in Afghanistan.
Okay. Is that what you named it after?
Yeah, it's a little, I always say this very facetiously, a little spot of paradise that separates Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Yeah. Well, very good. And you guys are on Facebook. Are you on Instagram also?
Yep. Khyber's got an Instagram page that has exploded over the last couple of months. We've got, Khyber's got a Twitter account. And then we've got the Facebook pages for Khyber, for light sights, lasers. We're easy to find, or you can just go to my Facebook page and it links all off of all that.
Okay. And that's Khyber.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. And Leadheads, I know you think that I forgot to do it this week, but I did. So we got so involved in talking about Wes and Khyber, I forgot to do our Fact to Fight the Myth.
SDI is proud to present the Talking Lead Fact to Fight the Myth.
And Wes has a good fact to fight the myth for us. So, Wes, tell us about that.
When I was a kid, everything was written about the 9mm versus the 45. And, we've had all kinds of calibers come about in the last couple of years, the last couple of decades. And science has caught up with the notion of what we're trying to get handgun rounds to do, and now we're back with everybody advocating 9 over every other caliber. The reality is, hey man, they're all handgun calibers. They all do damn near the same thing. Just because somebody says, hey, you should carry a 9, doesn't mean you should go out and sell your 45 to go buy a 9mm. Keep it in perspective.
Yeah, and that's what we preach on this show, is that everybody's different.
Yep.
Everybody's not the same. So what you need to do is you need to go out to the range, go to your local range, and most of them have guns that you can rent now, and shoot a 45 and shoot a 9 and shoot a 40 and shoot a 380. And, for your specific purpose on what you're going to use it for, that comes into play also. Whether it's going to be, whether you're law enforcement or military, or if it's for home defense, self-protection, whatever it may be. Just get out and go shoot the different guns, go shoot the different ammo, the different rounds, and see what feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we all went out to the range with boxes of ammo and shot them all into ballistic gelatin, they're all going to do damn near the same thing. It's just a matter of what you're able to control, what you're comfortable with. And, for most of us, I've got a safe full of guns sitting behind me. I'm an Arizona cop, so by virtue of that, I've got a bunch of 45s. I shoot 9 more than anything else because that's what manufacturers send me. Mm-hmm. But you just keep it in perspective. It's a handgun, and they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah. And what it boils down to, and this is another thing that we preach on this show, is training. If you don't know how to use your gun, and you don't know how to use your firearm in certain situations, it's not going to do you much good. So you need to get training Training.
Amen.
And Khyber is one of the companies that you can go to. Now, do you guys do any handgun training? Any personal defense type stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Because and that's really what we really push. We do everything, but honestly, the pistol is always the weapon you always have. Whether everybody wants to shoot a rifle, but the fact is you got to deploy the rifles with a purpose. You've got to go get it and bring it into the fight. Most of us have always got the handgun with us. So the one that's going to be there, the one that you're going to use 99% of the time is always going to be that handgun. And it's really the one that most people have the biggest shortcomings with.
Yeah. SDI's 32 semester credit hour certificate program in gunsmithing and 60 credit hour Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree program can work hand in hand and are the most complete training programs of their kind. SDI strives to give you the best quantity and quality of professional gunsmithing information and tools. These programs are perfect for students interested in careers in the firearms industry or for those who are interested in owning their own gunsmithing business. Our programs are delivered via distance learning, which allows our students to maintain full-time jobs, families, military service, and more while working towards their degree or certificate. The Sonoran Desert Institute mission is adding value to our students' lives by providing innovative, relevant, and applicable workplace-driven education through distance-delivered instructions. Visit them at sdi.edu. Well, all right. Good fact to fight the myth. We can never get enough of that. Definitely, the misconceptions of the rounds. Now, what's funny is I've got several friends that, I'm a 40 guy. I like the 40. It's just what I prefer. And I catch so much over that from everybody. It's like, I can put you down just as easily with a 40 as I can with a 45, a 9, or, whatever it is.
That's a fact.
It's just what I cut my teeth on. My first gun was a Glock 22.
Yep.
And that's just kind of what I cut my teeth on, and it's just I'm partial to it.
Yep.
For no other reason.
Yeah, the only shortcoming that it's really ever had is design-wise, because it's at the apex of pressures, is that it beats guns up, or it can beat certain guns up, and manufacturers, I don't think, were ready for that when they started pushing it. Yeah. But everything's fine now, and
like you said, science, the technology has caught up, and pretty much everything's on a level playing field.
Pretty much, yeah.
Unless you're shooting a 50.
Yeah, well, you get a 50 BMG, it's a whole nother story.
Wes, thank you so much for taking the time and being on the show today. I know we ran into a few scheduling issues, but finally got you on, and appreciate you being on, buddy.
No, I appreciate you having me. It's been fun.
All right, guys, so we've come to the end of another episode of Talking Lead, and Wes Doss, Khyber Interactive Associates. Go check them out at khybertraining.com.
That's it.
Okay, and then they're on Facebook, so just Google Khyber Training, Khyber Interactive Associates, and they'll come up all over the place. Wes, again, thanks so much for being on. Look forward to doing more with you in the future in Khyber.
Absolutely, looking forward to it.
All right, lead heads, as always, keep your loved ones close.
And keep your firearms closer.